I do not remember where I took this, but the two people in the photograph of the couple my wife and I were traveling with, and it was a nice walk up those stairs to wherever we were going. But just the arch and the people in the leading lines kind of intrigued me there. That is the view from the Ponte Vecchio in the River Arno in Florence. And I really liked the way, it was a beautiful day, and I liked the way the reflections turned out. The guy rowing in the river added a little bit to it. And this is probably one of my favorite pictures from that trip. This is what the Ponte Vecchio looks like when you're not looking out from the gap on either side, because there are shops that line the whole building on both sides of the bridge with cutouts about halfway across where you could take the picture like I did on the previous slide. Very much, it's almost all jewelry shops in places probably best not to go into because it will lighten your wallet considerably. But this is in these photographs are in no particular order or necessarily sorted by location. This was the and I'm trying to think of the name. It's the city of 100 towers, San Gimignano. It was taken as San Gimignano, and the tallest tower you can climb up to the top. It's a whole lot of stairs, and then the last flight you have to go straight up, hand over hand, up a ladder, and you come out underneath the bell in the bell tower, and hope it doesn't ring while you're directly underneath it. I saw people going up and then coming back down that there was no way they were ever going to make it up that ladder through that narrow opening and onto the roof. But that's one of the views from up there, and it gives you an idea of the Tuscan countryside. And a lesson learned the hard way: don't do it right after eating a full lunch. That was probably not the smartest thing I'd done up to that point, but it was worth it. This was outside, if I remember correctly, this was in Florence, outside the Pitti Palace. I don't think it was the Uffizi. And there were a couple of interesting sculptures like this. And, okay, there we go. And you can tell what she thinks of the look on his face. But I've actually had people ask me if she was real. But there was some interesting stuff there. This is in the Chianti area. This is either Rada or Greve. I don't remember which town, but again, I kind of like the way that the street curved and the feel of a smaller Italian village. I really found the smaller cities and towns much more interesting than Pisa or Florence. I mean, Florence has a lot of neat stuff, the architecture and the food and all that sort of thing. But the smaller cities and towns can be very, very interesting as well. This I took from the B&B where we were staying, and it just kind of caught my eye. Now, even in 2011, that was a fairly ancient tractor. But he was out there almost every day taking care of the vineyard with that thing. And sometimes when I show that or use it as a background, I say that I'm just outstanding in my field. This was taken in Siena. We were there on a Sunday, and that's where there was a cathedral there. And before services on a Sunday morning, the families march to the cathedral in their colors, in their uniform. And it's a very interesting processional to watch. And here's where they're marching to.
Ooh.
Okay. I know I cut off a little of the bottom there, but I wanted to get as much of the masonry work in as I could, and kind of just incredible craftsmanship and architecture in not only here, but others that we saw while we were there. They don't build them like that anymore. I don't know how many dozens or, decades it took to get this thing built, but it was really, really something. And the guards for the cathedral, and they weren't part of the procession. They were part of I guess, I don't know how I describe it, but they had more to do with the ceremony in the cathedral than they did with the families marching in, with their colors. Pisa Centrale, the main railway station in Pisa. This actually looks better if you convert it to black and white and add a little contrast to it. How I ever managed to get a shot of the tower with the foreground completely clear like that, I'll never know, but somebody was looking out for me. But I have seen the Leaning Tower, and yes, it really does lean. But I was just lucky. I happened to be in the right spot at the right moment, take the shot. I don't know about anybody else's experience with Pisa, if anybody else on this evening has been there, but aside from the cathedral, Il Duomo, and the tower, I wasn't all that impressed. There didn't seem to be a whole lot more to it than that.
Yeah, that was the main thing. I mean, there was a really nice coffee shop that we went to there. They had some good gelato. But yeah, it was clearly, the Duomo and the tower,
right,
were the reasons you were there.
Mm-hmm. And again, I don't remember where this is, but just the gate and the stuff beyond and the curves and the arches kind of caught my eye. And why can't we go in there? What are they keeping us from? This was in Lucca. This was outside a boutique hotel where we were staying. And boutique does not necessarily imply luxurious or elegant or, hoity-toity, but I believe it was owned by, trying to think, somebody, and I had the name on the tip of my tongue and it just went gone like that. May have been Napoleon's sister. And why his bust is out there on the ground, peeking out of the bushes, I have no idea. But it was just made a neat point of a neat piece of ornamentation, and I thought I would capture it. And I believe one of the smallest elevators I've ever seen was in that hotel. Just market day somewhere in Chianti, but it was really interesting to observe the people who lived there and came out there and everything that was going on. And we even stumbled across a car show out in the piazza. There were, I don't know, half dozen or so vintage automobiles, GT type cars parked out that way. And it was kind of interesting to stroll past that as well. And this was the table in our bed and breakfast. No apples, so you can't say I'm comparing apples to oranges. Oh no, there are apples and oranges, so I guess I am. But just a little bit of a Tuscan kitchen table. Let's see, do I have anything else? Nope, that's it. That didn't take too long, did it? So nice. Let's stop the share. Any questions about anything? I didn't want to bore you by just going through and this is this and this is that and that's the other, but that was about 15 or so of my favorites that I wanted to share.
You had great weather.
Oh yeah, we were very, very fortunate while we were out there those 2 weeks.
And the picture of the statue with all the color horizontally, did you enter that in a contest the last couple years?
I probably did, and it would have been one of those, it would have been July when there's no time limit
Yeah, I remember that.
because of the age of the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. I don't know. I was probably as, trigger happy out there as Brian is when he goes to Alaska. You just keep shooting, but
I do, and I will
I,
again.
had to go back to the hotel at night to see what I saw, by looking at the pictures on the screen. But yeah, and like I said, some of the smaller areas like going through the Chianti wine country and the small towns and villages and the smaller cities, Lucca, Siena, San Gimignano, those places can be very, very interesting as well. Just don't climb to the top of the tower on a full stomach.
No.
That was a little bit much.
Yep.
But fortunately, I lived to tell the tale. Yeah, no, you're right. We were blessed with good weather and just some fantastic stuff to be able to shoot. I'm sorry, I was disappointed. I could not take a picture of the statue of David. They don't let you do that. It was in a museum about 2 blocks from our hotel in Florence. I had no idea till I saw it for real that it was 18 feet tall. The vision that it takes to carve something like that out of a solid block of marble to me is just amazing. But they don't let you take pictures, and they are very strict about it. They keep an eye on everybody to make sure nobody's trying to do that. It's in a museum called the Academia.
Steve, I have a question.
Sure.
Jim White here, the new guy.
Yeah, Jim.
Seeing as this is a photography club, could you talk a little bit about your kit? You mentioned the Olympus. What you said was an EPL1. I'm not familiar with that camera.
The PLs were, I don't know if they still have a PL in the lineup or not, especially after Olympus sold their photography business last year or two. It was an interchangeable lens camera, rangefinder styled. And the PL1, of course, was the first version of that series. Remember, this is going back about, 13 years. Almost 13 years since that trip. So the kit at that time was the PL1 and I believe a Canon S90. So that tells you how far back. And, Canon doesn't make those anymore either.
What are your go-to focal lengths?
Well, on that camera, I only had the one lens, which was, basically a 24-70 equivalent. And the zoom on the Canon pocket camera might have been the equivalent of 24-100. But again, we're talking about, for the Canon, we're talking about something that looks like this.
Yeah.
It doesn't work trying to show something when you've got a screen save, when you've got background up. So let me get rid of the virtual background and just cancel that for the moment. Okay, there we go. Yeah, when it's something like this, I had really, Jim, to answer your question, I really thought of taking my Nikon D300, but I thought, well, the PL1 is a lot lighter and it's going to be a whole lot easier to carry around. And it wasn't a photo expedition per se. We were traveling with other people. And I just didn't want to have to lug that thing with the 18-200 on it all the heck over the place. So I picked 2 smaller cameras.
Well, they were wonderful photos. Thank you for sharing, sir.
Oh, thank you for the comment. And, it worked out all right. If I was going again, maybe I'd pack something like my Canon R7 now. That'd be a whole lot less weight and bulk to lug around. But, back in the day, that's what I had.
The shots were very clear and nice color.
Thank you. Yeah, and I did really very little post-processing on those.
Good.
The nice thing about them is that they both, the Canon, well, I'm not sure about the Canon, but the Olympus did shoot RAW as well. So that made it a little easier to fine tune stuff.
Very cool.
And
Very
That's-
interesting.
after
Steve.
that trip, I kind of thought, gee, maybe I ought to retire. We ought to retire here.
Mhm.
And, that did not go over well.
No.
Oh,
It'd
well.
be like my friend, her husband said the same thing when they were someplace and she went, well, honey, you'd still have to be a dentist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, no, I mean, I was happy to be able to share it a little bit. And I'm glad you guys appreciated it.
Yeah.
Jim, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe at the time I was not yet a member of this organization. And I cannot explain why, but that part of Italy is something I'd always wanted to see for as long as I can remember.
Hmm.
And it was about 2 years after we retired, and here was a chance to do our retirement trip, so to speak. And we sat down with the other couple, we planned the whole thing ourselves, and off we went. And it was great. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
And you know, they're just, and the food was good too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, because out there they shop every day
Hmm.
for vegetables, for bread, for a lot of stuff. Supermarkets were just coming in there while we were there, but I'm not sure they had won at that point universal appeal yet.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Norm, I yield back the balance of my time.
All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Great presentation. Very interesting. Makes